Assalamu alaikum. This is Huma Islam, your O level Islamia teacher. Today's topic is Hazrat Uthman Razila Ta'ala Anhu. He his Khilafat was from 644 to 656 AD, near to 12 years, 24 AH to 36 AH. And the topic is from chapter 3 of P2. That's Hazrat Uthman. Okay. Uthman bin Affan title was Ghani. He was from the Banu Umayyah. He coincided in the fifth generation with the Prophet ﷺ, related to Abdul Manaf. Before Islam, he was called Abu Amr. After Islam, Abu Abdullah. His father was the richest man of Makkah. Abu Bakr converted him, and Hazrat Uthman was persecuted by his own family. He was married to Ruqayya. He migrated to Abyssinia with Ruqayya. You were a flourished trader in Makkah and Medina. In other words, he carried on with his trade. He did not participate in the war of Badr because Ruqayya fell ill and passed away during her illness. The Prophet's third daughter, Kulthum, was married to Usman 6 years. For 6 years, she passed. After 6 years, she also passed away. Okay, the main events, his conquest, he went through a couple of conquests, also expansion of the Muslim Empire. The first naval expedition was sent by Osman, and the commander was Abu Qais. He suppressed rebellion uprising from the Byzantine and the Persia. New governor sent to Persia, military general Abdullah bin Umar suppressed the rebellion. He was Osman's maternal uncle's son. Sent deputies, maternal uncle, in other words, Mamu's son, right? Sent deputies to various parts of Persia. Commander Abdullah captured Khurasan and Khwarizm. Commander Ahnaf bin Qais conquered Balkh, Afghanistan, Kirman, Kirat, Kabul, Ghazna, Tabaristan, Azerbaijan, all came under Islamic Empire by 652 AD. So, although usually Usman's battles are not talked about that much, but remember there was the first naval expedition that was sent by Hazrat Usman, and I will arrange for another presentation in which we can address a few of the battles. Okay, Romans were defeated in 646 AD. Abu Qais, first naval commander, reached Cyprus and Greek islands, conquered by 649 AD. By 655 AD, Abdullah bin Abi Sirah conquered Alexandria, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, and Egypt. So the Muslim Empire did expand during Osman's reign. Muawiyah and Amr bin al-As were the naval commanders. Now, compilation of the Quran. This is very important during the time of Hazrat Usman. To the spread of Islam to far off lands, people recited in different dialects. In other words, they were reciting the Quran in different dialects. The pronunciation was changing due to different dialects. And doubt that the text may change due to different dialects, people were debating on the fact that whose recitation was right. Now, remember, if you're reading something and you have a different accent, one person will sound different, the other person will sound different, and the other person will sound different. Now, it's fine when it sounds different, but what about if people start writing according to the sounds that they are making from their, in their language, from their mouth, from their tongue? So what happened was, it was decided that the Quran will be compiled on a single standardized dialect, which is the Qurayshi dialect. People were debating on the fact that whose recitation was right. They were near to quarrel and fight over it. Huzaifa informed Hazrat Uthman, so they decided to standardize it on the Qurayshi dialect as it was revealed. According to Musaf Safa, Hafsa, the other copies that were written based on a different dialect were all burnt under the supervision of Majlis Shura. New copies were sent to Basra, Makkah, Kufa, Yemen, into 7 different districts, provinces. Today, 2 copies are still preserved from that time. Allegations that he had to face. A big allegation was of nepotism. What is nepotism? Nepotism is the act of granting an advantage, privilege, or position to relatives and friends in an occupation or field. Uthman faced allegations of nepotism. He appointed what was the allegation? That he appointed relatives as governors. Basra, he appointed Abdullah bin Amr, who was his uncle's son. And Kufa, Walid bin Uqba, he was his stepbrother. In Egypt, Abdullah bin Saad was his foster brother. And Syria, Muawiyah was continued because he was appointed before Hazrat Usman's caliphate. He was also the cousin of Usman. Kufa, Malik Ashtar instigated revolt in Kufa. Now, what happened was in Kufa, Malik Ashtar was a person who instigated revolt in Kufa against Usman. Reasons, what was the reason for his revolt? Unsatisfied with Walid bin Uqba. Who was Walid bin Uqba? The stepbrother of Usman. He was accused of corruption and expelled him and appointed Abu Musa Ashari. What did this Malik Ashtar, what did he do? He did not just blame him of corruption, but he also removed him from office and appointed Abu Musa Ashari. Egyptians also ordered the removal of Abdullah bin Saad. Who was Abdullah bin Saad? The foster brother of Hazrat Uthman. From governance, who was appointed after removal of Amr bin al-As. Remember, Amr bin al-As was the conqueror of Egypt, right? So he was appointed, but they wanted Abdullah bin Saad to be removed. Allegations, another allegation, first nepotism, then burning of the Quran. Rebels raised issues against Usman for burning of the Quran. Negotiations took place in front of Ali. Ali was the chief negotiator because he wanted things to settle down. Rebels threatened to march onto Medina with 1,000 rebels, each from Basra, Kufa, and Egypt. In other words, coming in on Medina with 3,000 rebels. That was the plan. Hazrat Ali argued with the rebels in Usman's defense. If burning the Quran for standardization was a wrong act, why didn't senior companions object to it? If it was something wrong, then the senior companions, the Majlis Shura, they would have objected to it. Ali leading the negotiations on Usman's behalf, what does it show? It shows that the rebels were not coming on behalf of Ali. They were not supported, or Ali was not behind these rebels. The rebels were coming in on their own, and Hazrat Ali was defending the Caliph. Result of negotiations, Usman agreed to remove Abdullah bin Saad from the governance of Egypt. Now, he finally agreed, okay, fine, just leave Medina and I'll remove Abdullah bin Saad. He agreed to appoint Muhammad bin Abi Bakr as governor to Egypt, the son of Abu Bakr and the stepson of Hazrat Ali. So what? Remove Abdullah bin Saad and appoint Muhammad bin Abi Bakr. He is also the stepbrother of Hazrat Aisha. Rebels left Medina. So this was final. This was done. Now they're leaving Medina. But something happened, something really, really bad happened. Rebels left Medina but returned claiming they intercepted a letter from Uthman to Abdullah bin Saad to kill Muhammad bin Abi Bakr and the rebels once they get back to Egypt. Uthman swore by oath he had done no such thing. But who had done it? Of course, they did intercept a letter, but who had done it? It is said that Marwan bin Hakam, his secretary, and his cousin had sent the letter using the Caliph's seal. So could you imagine how angry they must have been, the rebels at that time? The rebels insisted that he abdicate from office. What does abdicate mean? To formally give up sovereign power, office, or responsibility. But Hazrat Usman did not abdicate. Why? Because abdicating meant that he is agreeing to the fact that he was the one that sent the letter and that he is responsible for everything that's going wrong in, his governance. Siege of Usman's house. This is a very sad aspects of Islamic history. Usman refused to abdicate, insisting he had done nothing wrong. Rebels took siege of his house for 50 days. No water or food was let in. They didn't let any water or any food go in. Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Zubair sent their sons to protect Usman's home, but they were also injured. So remember, the rebels were claiming that they were the supporters of Ali. So if they were the supporters of Ali, how could they harm Hassan and Hussein? Hazrat Aisha and Habiba tried to meet the Caliph and family, but were refused access. Habiba, remember, she is Abu Sufyan's daughter, who is the cousin of Uthman. Hazrat Ali asked the Caliph to provide military assistance. Hazrat Ali came to Uthman and asked, shall I call in the Muslim army? You just order me once, and I'll call, because he's the Caliph. They can't do anything without the approval of the Caliph. Okay, let me bring in the Muslim army. But Uthman refused. So blood would not be shed in Medina. Remember, Medina was declared a haram by the Prophet ﷺ, as Makkah is declared a haram by Allah. The rebels entered Uthman's house by climbing over the walls. He attacked him with an axe and a sword. His wife Naila tried to save him, and her fingers were cut off in the incident. He was reciting the Quran, Yes, sayakfikahumullah. Allah is sufficient for me against you. That when he was murdered, when he was assassinated, he was reciting the Quran. Administration of Hazrat. Could you imagine? Hazrat Usman at that time was near to 83 years old. He was an 80-year-old person. Imagine killing and axing an 80-year-old person, claiming that he is, he should abdicate. It must have been a tragic sight in history. Administration. He followed the Quran and Sunnah. He kept seeking advice from Majlis Shura, Ali, Tala, and Zubair. He divided the empire into 8 provinces, donated a lot from own wealth for welfare and religious matters. Remember, he was also accused of using state treasury, but remember, he was the one who always donated a lot of money for welfare projects. It is said that he used his own money when he would use expenditures, spend. He built bridges, offices, rest houses, and embankments. He extended the Masjid al-Nabi and the Kaaba. He raised the salaries of the army also. He constructed water wells near roads used by travelers. He allowed Arabs to acquire conquered lands. Remember, Hazrat Umar did not allow them to acquire conquered lands. He was the one who introduced the first naval fleet of the Muslim army. He also constructed border posts. He built 5,000 mosques, canals constructed for agriculture, and Islamic coins were also introduced during the time of Hazrat Uthman. Thank you. Umm Islam.